So, in a minute or two, I'm going to be bringing up our first speaker who's going to be sharing with us on the theme of the day. But before I do that, I'm just going to quickly mention what BPEG is all about. BPEG is a fintech platform that is designed to support individuals who want to transit from paid to self-employment, whether it's by retirement or by voluntarily, or you're fired or you're laid off, as the case may be. BPEG provides that support that individuals need to be able to move from paid employment and become productive retirees or become business owners of their own. So all of those processes, BPEG involves saving for your business. It involves being prepared, series of training on the platform that you can begin to position you to go into your own business. And then there are opportunities to talk with consultants who will provide to you an hand-holding experience to ensure that you are able to make that move to transit from paid to self-employment. Being able to move from paid to self-employment sometimes can be scary. Can be scary because it's a move from the known into the unknown. And so a lot of times we do not take it because of the lack of clarity. So BPED is available to provide the right support so that individuals can make that transition and they can become successful in their own business. So as we go on, if you need, after today's event, if you need to talk to us, we're very much available to provide you. You can download the app. BPED as an app is available on Google Play Store. You can download it. There are free trainings there already. There are paid trainings. You can download and begin to engage. You can also begin to save towards a specific business you want to start at a specific time with a specific budget. So on the app, you can say, I want to save 5 million for a business. And then on a monthly basis, you start saving a certain amount. And then at some point in time, while you're saving, the app is going to be enabling you to prepare, taking through series of trainings like clarity in business, leadership in business, developing entrepreneurial mindset, knowing what idea to pursue, business registration, and all of this and a lot more are on the app for you to learn and prepare. So that's why in BPED we say BPED save, prepare, and start. While you're saving, you're preparing, and at some point you start off the business. Our greatest dream is to see over 1 million employees successfully transit from paid to self-employment. We want to be able to produce more of Mr. Steve Asuquo, one of our speakers here today, who has been able to successfully leave paid employment and he has become a productive retiree. And he's going to be sharing with us from his own personal experiences, some of the things he did, some of the things he did not do that enabled him to today run his own business after leaving paid employment. So our first speaker will be coming up soon. Just give us a minute and we'll launch in full. Yes, so we're largely ready to go. Our first speaker coming up to talk to us about positioning for early retirement is no other person than Esimaje Ogor. She's an author of Money Come, Money Goes. She's a senior consultant at MSI Resource, a company that works with SMEs and provides HR services to several organizations. Her professional career spans over 20 years from the banking sector, from banking, the financial sector, to the oil and gas, to the non-profit. She's very passionate about entrepreneurship, and she develops tailored trainings to meet the needs of entrepreneurs and small businesses across Nigeria, especially in the Niger Delta region, where she provides business management solutions, capacity building, workshop, recruitment services to both profit-making organizations and non-profit-making organizations. She's passionate about seeing business people do well and about people managing their money. And she has done that with a book titled Money Comes, Money Goes. Please let's make welcome Esimaje Ogor as she takes us on positioning for early retirement. Thank you, ma. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Can we all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Please quickly say hello in the chat so that I know that I'm on with everyone. It's good to be here, and today's topic will take us right into the whole idea of retirement, but the early part of it. So just to jump into action, let's move to the next slide. So while we are doing that, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a little icebreaker, but this is just the key learning points. What is early retirement? Why do you want to retire early? What are the pros? What are the cons? Everything has a good part, has a not so good part. Then there is the FIRE movement. It's related to early retirement as well. And then what do you need if you decide that, look, I need to retire early, what do you need to do? Then the financial calculations and rules. We all know that money is a major factor. And then we'll go on to the next steps. So next slide. Yes, so this is our icebreaker. So just quickly in the comment section, when you saw this topic, what pricked your interest about the subject matter, about this topic? Just one word in the comment section. Let me just look at it. You know, what piqued your interest? This will help us to know if we are working with you in the right direction, what it is that interested you about this topic. Quickly. Let me just know. Yes, I'm waiting. I'm here in the chat, waiting for you. Or what would you like to know? What is the key thing that you want to get out of this opportunity? Great. So what is early retirement? I mean, it's clearly stated here. It's a situation in which a person stops working earlier than at the usual statutory retirement age. So every organization, first of all, the country as Nigeria has the age at which you're supposed to retire, you know, and then there is an age that you say if you retire before that age, you say you retired early. Sometimes the retirement is voluntary. I decided that I want to retire at a particular age, which is not the statutory age. And then some other times it is compulsory. The company retires you. You didn't plan to retire. You wanted to work, you know, for a long time, you know, longer, but the company retired you. These are all early retirement, and we'll see ways by which we can handle either of these situations and whenever, you know, they come up. Let's go to the next slide. We're talking about, you know, early retirement, what it meant, and then we also talked about it being voluntary or compulsory sometimes. You don't decide, somebody decides on your behalf, or you even decide yourself. Whichever way, it needs a lot of planning to get it done. So unplanned retirement puts a strain on individuals' retirement, you know, assets, because if you plan to retire, it becomes a challenge. But why retire early? Are there, you know, reasons why one would want to retire early? These are just some, you know, quotes by some authors and people. So if you're going to retire, then retire early. It's of no use you're retiring when you cannot do anything again. If you had a desire in your heart to travel around the world and you retire at the age of 70, you can't do too much. Even if you travel, you can't go to Kilimanjaro mountain to go and do hiking and all those kind of things that maybe you desire to do. You know, but another person says, all I want to do is retire early and travel the world. Next slide, please. So whatever they are, you need to articulate why you want to retire early. Now, these are some of the pros of retiring early. You enjoy more. Physically fit. What kind of freedom are we talking about? Freedom to decide what you want to do with your time. Do you want to travel? Do you want to, you know, play golf all day long? Do you want to climb mountains? Do you want to develop a new hobby? Maybe there's this desire in your heart. You finished school, you got a job, and you have been working all this time, but it's not really what you desire in your heart to do. Or you came across something along the line, and then you find out that I really would like to explore this further. You know, so it gives you that freedom to do all of that. It also gives you that freedom to, because they've said that when people retire early, they actually improve their mental health because there are other activities they get into, physical activities and others that helps them. Financial security. Somebody can decide to retire early because you can afford not to work. If you can afford not to work, why are you working from morning till night? And you're in this Lagos hold up. You leave 5 a.m., you get back 9 p.m. or 11 p.m. and then the next day you're on again. So if you have financial security, maybe you can afford not to work. Then you think of retiring early. Or you decide that I need to reassess my priorities. What are my priorities? Do I want to start a new career? Do I want to build a business? Do I want more time? Do I want to use my good years to be productive in the way that I want to do? Or you decide that, okay, I want to retire early because I can spend more family time. I need to be with my children as they're growing up, go to school with them, pick them up sometimes, just be in their lives. Recently there were some write-ups where people were complaining, fathers especially, saying that, oh, the children, when they grow up, they don't remember the fathers anymore. Is the father that pays school fee? Is the father that provided money for food? Is the father that, paid for house rent and all of that? But when they are older, is the mother that goes for Ogor? Is the mother that goes for this? Is the mother they talk to? But the truth is that they don't really know you that well because you are busy from morning till night at work, calculating, providing, and what. So some people look at it and say, okay, I really want to spend more time with my family. I would really want to be involved in their lives. So can I retire early? What do I need to retire early? Or sometimes you say, I'm bored or I'm tired with this work. I don't want this work anymore. I'm tired of it. It's boring to me. I remember when I started working. So I was talking about being tired or bored with work. So sometimes you just bored with that particular job and you want to leave, but you find out that this money, or like in my case, then in the bank they will pay you upfront in January. So like 70% of your annual salary is paid to you in January. So by the time it's June, you're already tired, but the money is okay. Next year when I collect my upfront, next year, and all of that. But you can actually plan it. And then another reason for early retirement would be work stress or a health scare. You had a health issue and you find out that you need to change your lifestyle. You need to totally rearrange your lifestyle, have more exercises, do less stressful things or whatever. So there are several reasons why you want to retire early, but these are just a few. In the comment section, if you have any other reason that is stated here, you can also let me have your comments. Just state what are some of the reasons why you want to retire early? Now, next slide, please. However, it's great to retire early, but there are some cons. There are things that we need to know when we decide that we want to retire early. And it's not to cause us not to retire early, but it's just for us to be able to plan better. One of them is healthcare. Healthcare is expensive. If you're working currently, you have healthcare provided for you by your organization. And so once you retire, you now have to provide your healthcare, for yourself and all of that. Then you have, you have to tap into your nest egg early, which may cost you. So your pension payout will be smaller. So you need to, once you retire early, you begin to draw on your pension. And all of that. There's a way they calculate it. Your pension is calculated for the next 30 years. So assuming you retire at the age of 50, they have taken that money that has accumulated in your account and they pay you a certain percentage of it. In the Nigerian system, it is 25 to 50% of what has been accumulated in your individual retirement account. But most times you get the 25 portion. They never give you the 50% portion. So the balance is spread over 30 years. So what happens that if you worked longer, you'd have a larger nest egg to draw from. But because you're retiring earlier, start drawing earlier. Also, you sacrifice the compound interest that would have worked on that money over time, for a longer period so that you can earn more. Another reason would be that money saved may not carry through because of the longer lifespan. Maybe you were expected to retire at the age of 65, but you ended up retiring at the age of 50. Once you retire, you begin to draw on what you have saved. I mean, it's logical. You're not getting that salary anymore. So this becomes your earning plus your other investments and all that. We'll look at the calculation as we go on. So these are some of the reasons your spending will most likely be more than you projected. So even if you planned, you have done all your mapping and everything, you will still spend a bit more, but it's good to plan. Next slide, please. Another reason, another con would be that housing expenses will not retire. So even though you retire, expenses will not retire. And the funny thing is that because you're at home, there are expenses that will crop up because you're at home. Those are at home, they are used to not putting on the gen until in the evening or when you come from work. But now, because you're at home, you say, put on the gen. So there's more spending on fuel, more spending on diesel, and several other attendant expenses that will come up. You know, it could be tough on you as a couple. This is something definitely you must agree with your spouse, with your partner. You'll agree before anyone would go off to say, I'm taking early retirement. In fact, both of you have to work on it. So it's something that needs to be worked on. And then plenty of time on your hands. You find out that you have so much time. If you haven't planned really on early, maybe you had a compulsory retirement. You have so much time. You never planned to retire at this age, but you have so much time on your hand. And then you need to make new friends, because the people you are connecting with, normally you go to work in the morning, come back in the evening, maybe weekends, but now you are home from morning till evening, and your friends are busy doing their own, work and all of that. So these are some of the cons, but they are not to deter us. It's just to let us know, what is out there. Next slide. But before we go on to, what you would need to say, okay, I want to retire early, but what do I need to put in place? Let's look at this. This is a movement that has, that is really fairly new. It's not so new, but it's fairly new. It's called the FIRA, the Financial Independence Retire Early Movement. What does it mean? Next slide. So the movement is about, people who are in their 30s and 40s desiring to retire, and how do they work at it? They save, invest aggressively between 50% to 75% of their income. So they are practically squeezing every squeezable of their income, salary, whatever else they have coming in for them, maybe rental income, whatever it is, you take out 50 to 70% and invest aggressively, So two things they're focused on. They keep expenses extremely low, and then they find ways to increase their income. So it's not just that salary, they also look for other ways. Maybe if you're a writer, you can write articles. Two things they do, they keep expenses extremely low, and then they find ways to increase income. And then the goal is financial independence, in the sense that you can work part-time if you want, or not at all. So you're looking at, by the time I retire, at this age of my 30s, maybe 35 or 45, I can either work or not. Some go to the extreme that they either move cities, or they even move to countries that they can, they can live extremely well from whatever they have been able to gather. So this is just to bring to your knowledge that there's a FIRE, the Financial Independence Retirement Early Movement, that if you are within this age range and you desire to retire, you can begin to work on. So that is for that. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, what do you need? Go back, please. Yeah. So what do you need to retire early? What do you need to retire early? And even if you were retired compulsorily, even if you didn't plan to retire early, you're retired compulsorily, you still need to do all of this exercise to get going. First of all, you need an early retirement plan. What are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? What do you plan to do? Do you plan to travel around the world? Do you plan to start a business? Do you plan to get a new job? Do you plan to develop that hobby that you have been, working on the side and, you've been giving for free to people, and you realize that this hobby can actually grow into a business for me? What is your plan? You need an early retirement plan so that you can begin to build on that. Whatever your dream is, what is that dream that you want to retire early to go to? Number two, know how much it will cost because it will cost you money. We'll look at the calculations later, but know that your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, whatever it is, without money, it will lead to frustration. So you don't just up and get up and retire early and say, I'm retiring early. I know we can say with God on my side, I can make it. We need to get some numbers in. Another thing to do is to determine how much income you get from pension, one, and other fixed payments. So determine how much you can get when you retire early from your pension and from other fixed payments, other investments you have put in place. So investments like maybe if you have properties, you're receiving rental income, look at how much you're getting from your portfolio investments, and then maybe from, if you're into the new money now, cryptocurrency, FX trading, all those kind of things, check and determine how much you can receive on a monthly basis from those other sources of income. And then one thing you need to do is also to pay off any mortgage you have. So assuming you bought a property, you're living in it now, and you've been paying from your salary, for you to retire early and not have too many issues on housing, you need to ensure you have paid off the mortgage or you own your own home, and then you have no other debt, no other major debt that that would be like a major problem for you. And then also have a personal plan. Why do you need a personal plan? How will you feel how will you be defined? Already for over these years, you have been defined as a staff of so and so. I'm a banker, I'm a this, I'm a that. Suddenly, you can't use that tag anymore. I remember somebody who was asking me, he had left school and he wasn't working yet. And he was like, so someone like, what do you do? What do you do? He said, what do I do? Because before he was so used to saying, I'm a student. Now you can't say I'm a student. Okay, so define yourself, have a personal plan, know what you want to do, and then how you feel your days, how you spend your time. Then the buy-in, you also must get the buy-in of your partner. That is so key. You can't retire early without your significant other agreeing with you, because they would help you to achieve that dream. And then know what you will retire into. What are you going to retire into? What are your objectives? And then what are your, next slide. Know what you'll retire into. Are you retiring into a new business? Are you retiring into another career, less stressful, less demanding? So it says here that it doesn't take age to retire, it just takes money. Let's go to the numbers. Next slide. How much will early retirement cost? So somebody has developed a formula or a rule by which this thing is calculated. So experts say between 60% to 80% of your current income is what you will need to maintain same standard of living. So determine your current spend. What is your current spend? On a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, what do you spend? Then estimate earnings on investment portfolio, your stocks, your rentals, and your pension payouts. What are your earnings on those things? Then estimate draw on savings and multiply by the number 25. Don't worry, the next slide will explain this part. Then the amount you get determines your financial saving need at early retirement. So you cannot think of retiring if you don't have this amount. This amount you will get, if you don't have that money already lying down in a savings account, you cannot think of retiring early. This is a rule that was proposed or created by William Bengen. Is a financial plan. Next slide. So this is the calculation. So I try to make it a bit explicit so that we can look at it. So assuming when you calculated all your financial need monthly, you arrived at a sum of 100,000, a month. Your investment portfolio provides 40,000, assuming. So from your shares, your stocks and stuff like that, your rental income, whatever else you have, your new money and all of that, you can get 40,000 a month from that. Or maybe you even have a side business that's already running that you can also get some income fine. So you then have to dip into your savings to provide the balance 60,000 in that month to make up the 100,000 for the month. So if you have to dip into your savings for 60,000 a month by 12 will give you 720,000 naira. We're using naira here. So 720,000 naira times 25, which is the Bengen rule, multiply that amount you need yearly by 25, it gives you 18 million. So for you to attempt to put in your paper and say, I'm retiring, I'm taking early retirement, you should have 18 million naira in your savings account. And then for those who are blessed to work in the oil companies where you have interesting payoffs, you should have these figures in mind, even if you don't have it in your account, which means whatever you have, it's your payoff, you would need to remove this amount into an account, and all of that. So at early retirement, once you have your savings that you require to retire and then you have retired, you apply the 4% rule, which means that you withdraw only 4% from your savings account annually. Only 4% in the first year. In subsequent years, you can either reduce it given your situation, maybe your expenses have come down, or you look for other sources of income to boost whatever you need. But for safety reasons, it is advised that you take only 4% per annum from your savings account. Next slide, please. So these are some of our income sources: savings, pension, rental income, portfolio income, business income, and then, sorry, I forgot to put this, what I call new money, cryptocurrency and all those other things. I don't, So these are some of your income sources. Next slide. So after hearing all of this, what is the next? What next are we going to do? Do you think you want to retire early? Or do you think that early retirement will meet you whether you want to or not? You may need to begin to take decisions, advice, action, steps, goals, planning, and all of that. Next slide. So whichever way it is, get a notebook and start answering the questions as discussed in this training. So get a notebook and just begin to just sit down and calculate your number first and foremost. What is your number? That savings number that we talked about, that 18 million. Try and calculate it and see where you are. But that's not to deter you, it's just for you to know. Then take stock of where you stand. Very, very important. Take a realistic review. It will help you to know how many years you need to early retirement. So if you decide that you want to retire early, it doesn't mean today you retire early. You may still need 5 more years, 10 more years to retire. So the important thing is take stock, know where you stand and how much work you need to work to retire in the next 5 years, to retire in the next 10 years, And then go on to make a savings and investment plan. Of course, you need a financial advisor at this point. Make a savings and an investment plan. So if you look at it, and your financial advisor arrives at, okay, every month, if we need to get this target, this number of years, you'll need to be setting aside maybe 100,000 naira every month, and we'll be investing it in this, this particular investment. Do you need to be really aggressive, or can you be, low risk taker and all of that? So you need the help of the financial advisor. But the main thing is make a savings and investment plan, and then stick to your plan. So where you stand presently, arrive at your number, make a savings and investment plan, and then stick to the plan. While you're sticking to the plan, search the internet for more helpful tips on retiring. Read up, talk to people who have done it. What were their challenges? What did they miss? What would they have done differently? What did they enjoy? And what did they do right and all of that. And then lastly, connect with Beep Edge to assist you. In Beep Edge, we have several areas of consultants, people who consult, who provide services in all these areas that you need, from planning to execution and all. So let them help you draw up a personal plan and draw up any other thing that you think you need assistance for. Next slide, please. So this is a quote by Deborah Vosso. She says, "I think early retirement is achievable for anyone who seriously wants to do it. It just may mean you have to cut back on how you are spending your time." Thank you very much. And this is the end of my presentation. Over to you, Sati.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you once again. So that's BPEG. BPEG, 5 simple steps to begin to engage the BPEG platform. BPEG enables you to successfully transit from paid employment to self-employment. BPEG empowers you to save, to prepare, and then to start the business. For most of us, when we leave paid employment, we are very likely going to start off a business. So BPEG begins to prepare you for that business you want to go into, that business you want to go and start. It is not after retirement you start planning or thinking what business to do, or start preparing, or start making the mental shift from paid employment, from an employee to a business owner. There's a need to prepare before, as part of your early retirement plan. There's a need to know what you're going to go into, what kind of business will you be doing, what will it cost you, how much money do you need, do you have it ready, and all of that. So BPED will prepare you with getting ready to going into self-employment. So download the app from Google Store. If you can now, you can go ahead and download the app. Would appreciate if you can just to be sure we're on the same page. We would like to hear from us your experience with the app. For those of us who are not yet on the BPEG app, you just download the app, and in 5 simple steps, you already have access to training. You have access to your saving that is specifically for a business you're going to start at a specific time. You have access to what we call the transitional roadmap, series of questions that you'll be asked to help you decide what line of business you want to do, and all of that. So BPEG is here to provide you the support structure that you need to enable you to successfully transit from paid employment to self-employment. Even if it's retirement, if you're living based on retirement, or you're living because you have to take early retirement. So with BPEG, you can plan the next 5 years, the next 3 years, as the case may be, to say, this is where I'm going into. So while our video is playing, our next speaker will be coming up soon, Mr. Asuquo. Mr. Asuquo is a retiree himself, a productive retiree from ExxonMobil, and he's going to be sharing with us his own personal experiences. Mr. Steve Asuquo is the founder and CEO of Formula One AutoZone, an automotive maintenance, repair, and consulting company in Nigeria. He schooled at the universities of Uyo, Ibadan, Houston, and Miami. His career in the oil and gas sector spans HRO, judiciary, banned substance expert for oil and gas of Africa, American interest for 10 years, employee engagement, stakeholders engagement for oil and gas, oil majors. He's done jobs with NNPC, DPRO, NIMASA, all under the oil and gas sector. International, he was also involved in international oil trading for 3 years. He's presently very active in the non-profit space, where he serves through Rotary Club since 2002. He was once the president 2008 and 2009 of Rotary Club Eket. He's relocated to Lagos and continued to serve with Rotary Club and joined the Rotary Club VGC. He's the project chair as at today. He's the project chair as at today and chairman, Basic Education and Literacy. He's currently deputy district secretary of Rotary and is a retiree from Mobile, from Exxon Mobil, and a productive retiree at that. Please, let's make welcome Mr. Steve Asuquo, as he'll be sharing with us practical terms, his own experiences of how he moved early retirement at 50 and he moved from paid employment into self-employment. Mr. Asuquo, are you there?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. I hope everybody's getting me there.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for coming, and I believe this is a good opportunity. The first speaker has done a great deal of the job that will give me opportunity to do a summary. Whatever we are going to do here is simply a live experience, and I believe that it will work for everyone. And like the signature quote you see there, that the world is full of opportunities available only to men of vision. I had my father used to, from his body language, as minimum respect for people who were working in civil service. I don't know why. Because most of the time, all those who are working in civil service will go to him to ask for money or support for the family and the children's school fees. So, and I discovered also that most of the time he was doing his trading, touring around the world, he always has something in mind, like he's selling, say he want to sell fish. He will always make profit every day. Whether there's inflation or not, it will not affect his profit line. Whereas the other person who is a civil servant, his salary is static and nothing really moves. So I actually confronted him one day and asked him some questions, and he told me that is the reality of life. And that takes us to the experience we have today in Nigeria and the world. Anybody who would like it should realize that today, in the next 5 years or 10 years, we will not be talking about employment. We will always be talking about entrepreneurship. So anybody who wants anything good for himself should also learn something to make sure that he'll start learning now. Tomorrow he becomes that. I graduated at the age of 21. But during the period, I know how to sew shoes. I can sew shoes today if I have the equipment. I know how to sew shoes. I know how to do so many things. So my really life experience has been that of, even though we were in a little bit above average family, but we know too well that, and my father, of course, wouldn't allow you to rely on him. You have to fend for yourself. And that's what drives what I'm really going to share with you. Next slide, please. I was very fortunate. Immediately I joined Mobile. The first day, our director was invited by NECA to give a keynote speech during the annual pre-retirement seminar for people in the industry. Not only all industries in Nigeria, all sectors. Unfortunately, the director couldn't make it. He gave it to the manager, plans and budget to go and do that. There was a serious crisis with the union. So the man called me inside the house and then asked me, go and attend the meeting. And I went there. When I went there, I was just 28 or 29 years. When I went there, people I saw were almost 60 and above. Everybody looked at me. In fact, the director general of NECA called me. Boy, what are you doing here? Are you the one bringing laptop for presentation? I said, no, sir. I'm the one representing this. So summary is that I sat down and listened to all of them one by one before I also did my presentation. I learned a lot of things, and that has driven me to where I am today. That simply means that your retirement starts from the very day you have a job. If you want to do it, you can never start it any other time. From day one, you make up your mind that that is what you are going. You will see it in the next slide, how this happened to me. The other area is the seek. You have to seek. That thing is seek, not see. A mentor. A mentor, your boss, your supervisor is not your boss. Your mentor could be anybody from outside the company, within the company. Again, choose your friends. What kind of friends are you? Are you the friends that take you to the clubs every day and so on and so on? You fire your money as much as possible. Choose your friends. And then be streetwise. Streetwise. What are others really doing? What are others doing? Look at what an average person who sells plumbing materials there earns more than some people, even in the bank. That's the truth. Another thing I want to talk about would be collect all the collectible while you want to start this journey. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. When I got into the company, my first year, I made up my mind that I will become a director in this company. But unfortunately, that did not work. We are now discussing signs that you are ready to retire. After about 5 years, I discovered that things don't work that way. I made up my mind that this is what I want. I want to become a director. So when I couldn't become a director, I decided to be relevant. One of the things of being a relevant is that you start making friends. If you are not a director, make sure that you are a friend of a director, so that you will always get things from him. Be relevant, you know. There's this philosophy of hedonism, happiness, just being happy all the time. I decided I resort to hedonism. Anything that will raise my spirit. If I know that a director has that big house or that big car, I look for money. I go and collect that money as a loan and go and build that house. I see They travel abroad regularly. If they don't send me, I look for a way and go out myself. By so doing, I make myself happy instead of being jealous of my friends who are making progress. These are signs that you are ready for early retirement. You are not going to hold down yourself in crutches and say, hey, I cannot be here, so I have to bring down somebody, I have to be jealous. You see, it pushes you into doing so many things. So one of the great signs is that you start investing, start doing something that your friends who are doing something else don't do. And that is what will take you out of any issue that you may confront, and it leads to what we call career limiting moves. And then when I got to this stage, I discovered that I look at, because I have access to retirees. Whenever they want to retire, we talk to them, we did one thing or the other to them. I discovered that most after 55 or 60 years, you cannot take risk. The right to do is start at that you are 30, 40, and take as much risk as you can. The first speaker talked about some employees running with about 25% of the salary or income, while 75% goes into investment. See, if every time you go into, you collect money and it start investing, whatever is in your pocket, that's what you spend. And that is what really happened. So once you see that, you cannot take risk anymore, or you won't be able to sustain the risk, you are out. Signs that you are ready for early retirement when you are graded worthy. An average person who works with us is graded worthy. But I can share with you that immediately after retirement, I went back to the same people to give me a loan, and they refused. That is the same people that we were having like 5 banks and institutions coming to give us loans, because we had a process of knocking that loan off through the internal system and paying it to them, you know. So your currency, you have to cash your currency, which is that worth you have. If you have that worth, that is a good sign that you are ready for early retirement. Make good use of it, you know. You look at issue of, can you be independent in the next 2-3 years after your departure? If you cannot, then start now to do something about it. Those are the signs that you are not still prepared. You've not landed. You need to do that as much as possible. Again, if your savings have dwindled, it means that you are ready for early retirement. This is what I mean. You have the money to spend, and you don't spend the money. You don't do what you are supposed to do. Instead of saving, you go into a lot of consumption. Let me tell you, at this point in time, you know what? At a certain point in time, I had to shut down on some of my friends who were coming to me for, I knew in the 10 years, about 10 years, within that period, they were only coming to me for money, 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 money. I asked myself one question. So if I retire tomorrow, will these people come to my aid? I shut them down. So, and these are the things that you are ready to go into early retirement. When you shut down and then you manage a little that you have, you know, your health and family can stand life without employment. Because if you are started early enough, you discover that you must have made some investment a lot before then. So why do you want to stay on? Why do you want to stay? Some people said, oh, I can still stay on, whether they will make me a director or whatever, they keep staying on there. One thing I have not indicated here is this. You know, in every organization, we have what we call grandfathers, fathers, and their children. Once your children or your grandchildren become your boss, it's a sign that you are due for retirement. Get that very clear. You are due for retirement. Otherwise, you will just be put at the corner if they decide to keep you there. And you shouldn't wait until that. So, again, do you have a fallback activities? In the 2010, I have always made up my mind that I want to retire at 50. Or let me not say I made up my mind. I've been saying, oh, I cannot work beyond 50 because I wouldn't be able to take risk. I wouldn't be able to do business. It looks like God was like repeating the words after me and implementing it. Immediately I was 50, something happened. I had to submit my paper to go with people. And I left at 50. And you know why I was bold enough to leave? Because I had a fallback activities. I knew that if I leave, I'm not going to be hungry. Not just the pension that will be paid. Because I had started making investment. So a good sign that you are ready for early retirement is if you had started realizing the fact that from the day when you started work, you are due for retirement. You know, it's just like a child who is born today. That child already is qualified to die as long as he's human. So what are you doing about it? If you wait for your friends and then see how in 30s we were having fun, doing so many things, you know, some people will travel like every three months just to go and burn money in the US, or go to Dubai, do this, you know, without an investment. Let me share one example with you. When I was working with judiciary, one of my bosses was retiring. In fact, my direct boss he retired. You know, 2 weeks after retirement, he was still coming to the office. Until one day, the successor asked the security to bolt the gate and not allow the man to come in. It was very, very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. The man did not prepare. So this happens to him the way it happened to him. See, it is not only, especially those of us who are working in private sector, it is not the physical gate that will prevent you from coming in. There are ways people will attend to you. The kind of job they will give you to do is the job they would have given to a fresh graduate to do. And then they then assign you, okay, you will manage drainage or whatever, something like that, you know. That is a sign that you are due for early retirement. And the saving grace in all this is for us to start working very early, very, very early, to make sure that we don't fall into all this thing. And be happy. You see, whether somebody promotes your friends or even what I will call your junior, I'll call children or grandchildren over you. When you know that you have something on ground, do you know that you won't feel envious of the guys who are there? One of the key things that is familiar in oil and gas is that people always travel abroad almost every year. Some will go and spend like 1 to 3 years, 5 years, and so on. You know, and when some of them come back, some of them, because of that environment, they look like lords. So you who are here, you look like a minor if you want to do. And my best style was like saying what I said in point 2 here is that I went into a kind of hedonistic behavior. If my friend travels for assignment, say in the US, by the time he comes back, I'll make sure that I build a house that will humble him when he comes. The kind of shirts, the kind of shoes, the kind of dressing I'll put on is something that will humble him, you know. In fact, some of them even come back to ask some of us, man, guys, how are you doing here? During lunch, take him out in your car. Take him out for lunch outside, not inside the office. It's an opportunity for you to just be sure that you are happy with your colleagues. You know, no matter the situation, don't ever allow somebody's promotion to be a discouragement to you. Because that person, if you make that person your friend, you are actually in that same position with the person. So what all this is showing is early planning, frugality, sacrifice, and most importantly, cash your currency. Cash your currency. You have that great worthiness. So many persons will come to you for bank. Look at in housing industry. People collected money and bought land. By now, most of them, they must have bought all those land for like 10 million naira. Look at those lands are about 1 million naira today. And you did not collect that money and you wait. So once you have all those things, the day anything comes up, you will be the first person to raise up your hand. I'm sorry, I'm going. You know. Next slide. Yeah. This is how I did mine. I joined the company at 29. And like I said, I had always planned to retire at 50. I'm purely an HR person. I discovered that, hey, I like business. I like people who do business. One of my brothers and my father who were business-minded people. See, those are my heroes. So I decided to leave HR. After 15 years, I said I'm going to leave HR, I left HR to commercial department. I learned a lot of things. And I still believe that today, if I stand and the person who had been in HR for 20 years and I stand beside that person, a wise person will pick me because of the skills I have acquired in the commercial. You know, it was so much that you had to discuss everything that has to do with all industry, including Ministry of Finance. I made a lot of sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice is about the investment, the 75-25% the first speaker talked about. I made a lot of sacrifice. You know, I knew that, look, if I have to make the 50-year mark, I have to follow this. You know, and added to that, I knew some companies that is doing what PIBH is doing right now. I started contacting them for advice. And they took me through so many things like ARM, IBTC, you know, they took us through this, you know. And so the sacrifice I made did not go into people's pocket. It went into corporate covers that protects my investment. Another thing I did was that I made friends with people who are older than me by 10 years, not only in my industry, in other facets of life. I not visit them. I make calls. Once I identify somebody, I know that you could be somebody. I walk up to him. You know, I walk up to him. Some of them I see them on the internet. I send a mail to him. I said, "Oh, so I want to be your friend. I want to learn much about you. I've learned much about you. I want to be your friend." You know. So I did a lot of sacrifices, and that is by making my friends. You know, making friends would mean that you would travel to Abuja on your own and stay for 2 to 3 days to meet somebody. So friends who are older than you and friends in other aspects of industry are some of the things that really helped me before I retire. Because like I said, I was not able to be a director, but I had to become very friendly with all the directors in that company. By the time I retired, all of them were my customers. All of them, including general managers, all of them are, some of them who are in the country now are still my customers. And from them, I have they link me up with other people, you know. And one of the things I did is I did not abuse that relationship. I did not abuse that relationship. The only time I could remember when I was still in service, I was not abuse of relationship. I had a serious financial issue to buy this land facing Express, and I was forced to approach one of them. And my question was answered. So I don't go about asking people for money, you know, especially if I know that that person is also working. And before I look at 1, 2, 3, 4, I picked one of them that I should go and discuss that. And the person gave me what he had. I can say, yeah, as of then, I needed 25 million naira to buy that plot of land. Like I tell people, within 3 days, I was oversubscribed. I got up to 35 million naira. And I had to return 10 million naira to other people is because of goodwill, you know. So 2010, I incorporated a company. By 2013, my spouse was HR manager for AG Leventis. I pulled her out to supervise this business. In 2015, December 31, I also left my job to join this company. The following 2 days, I was on the seat as the CEO of this company. And as of today, we've added about 5 services other than the regular automotive business that we are doing. 5 services to this. We got into FedEx, became the agent, went to Lagos State government, became the agent on some things, got some other companies to sign an agreement with us on the related businesses. So we added 5 services to this. And all of this is simply because there was early retirement, 1. Number 2, there was sacrifice. Number 3, I made a good organization that gave me direction, like the present organization we are speaking on their behalf right now. So if you do not have people who guide you, tendency is that you are likely to fail. And the first thing mistake people make is that they want to wait until they retire before they start setting up a shop. That's not true. It wouldn't work. Start setting up something and learn the ropes before you get out. Otherwise, if you get out within 1 year, you can lose up to about 10 million naira. Start with small things. So once you start with small things, there's something on the ground, it means that's a sign that you are ready for early retirement. And I want to say that it has been really awesome, and a lot of support from family and friends that we've been able to do this. All this is because of retirement. And I attended a meeting of my colleagues, my former colleagues the other time. And sometimes I try to attract them to my shop. Some say, hey, Steve, I am an engineer, but I've not been able to do this. You know, by the time they want to talk about this, look, I read political science and business administration, but I've been forced into reading like a book every month. Fortunately, everything is now on the net. You can pick everything on the net and read. See, nothing is cast in concrete. Nothing is cast in concrete. You can learn anything. There are some of us, one of my friends who left for US 5 years ago, has just graduated as a nurse. He's a lawyer. Has just graduated as a nurse. So these are the things that we encourage people to do, so that you are not caught nappy. There are people who wait until they actually remove them. After 55 years, man, you cannot take that risk. I'm not saying you cannot take that risk, but it is difficult to take the kind of risk you want. Some brought the money and put in the capital market, and the thing crashed. They are even asking them to collect 4%. 4% that if you carry that same money, go and buy let me say, spare parts in Aspanda and come here, tendency is that you can have 100% interest on it instead of keeping the money in the bank. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the things that we need to do to be able to forge ahead. It is not time that we wait for until we get up to 50 and so on. Start thinking, start praying about it. Tell God, I want to retire at 50. You know, I want to retire at 50. I want to do this. You know, my daughter recently impressed me. She's going to study computer engineering and said that she's taking economics as a minor, you know, and wants to get 2 degrees, associate degree as well for it. I was impressed because I know that's somebody who's prepared for business. In the next 5 to 10 years, all the graduates who are walking around looking for something to do wouldn't get it. It's not there. I have trained about 7 graduates here, and all of them have a job. Within 1.5 years, I trained them here. All of them have a job. I don't care what you read, whether political science or what. So that's it. Next. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to BipEdge, your partner that helps you to save for your business, prepare for your business, and start your business.
The leadership skill training and all other trainings you get from this platform is to help you transition from being a paid employee into self-employment.
We have the global mandate to move 1 million employees from paid employment to self-employment in the next 10 years. Is available to give you the hand-holding experience, the guidance, the support you need to make that decision.
We help you save, we help you prepare, and we help you start.
We encourage you to download the app and subscribe to our services and follow us on all our social media platforms.
BipEdge.
Save,
Prepare,
Start.